The question of how the Egyptians transported stones weighing tons to the pyramid on an industrial scale has been solved. Here you can find out why the methods discussed so far are unsuitable, and how the ingenious idea of transporting the stone blocks on a large scale must inevitably have come about. For centuries, scholars have been captivated by the enigma of how the ancient Egyptians managed to transport the colossal stones that formed the magnificent pyramids. Monoliths that defied imagination, and weighed. Such a feat was not one of brute force alone. Human ingenuity had to step in where raw strength fell short. Without the aid of clever tools and techniques, methods passed down through generations, perhaps lost to time, these stones would remain motionless, defying all efforts to budge them, as if anchored to the earth by invisible forces. There are speculations that wooden sledges were used to transport the stones, which the workers pulled across the ground. It is also assumed that the stones were placed on several logs and pushed and pulled by the laborers. The logs were repeatedly moved from the back to the front as they were pushed under the stone. On closer inspection, both methods proved to be feasible for demonstration purposes, but unusable on an industrial scale. Why? Due to the strong friction on the ground, a sledge had to be pulled by a large number of workers with ropes. The maximum pulling force of one person is about 500 newtons, or 50 kilograms. Adding the weight of the sledge itself, more than 40 men would certainly be needed to pull it uphill. In addition, the workers needed space between them and distance from the sledge to pull effectively. This method was enormously labor-intensive, error-prone, slow, and inefficient. Could it manage 3 million stones in 20 years? That's more than 400 blocks per day, requiring at least 100 teams of 40 men, working tirelessly for 12 hours and hardly ever making mistakes. The use of round timbers reduces frictional resistance considerably. However, handling the round timbers is more complex. The stone and road must be extremely smooth. If they aren't, the logs will get stuck, shift uncontrollably, or roll into hollows. Additionally, the Egyptians couldn't produce perfectly round, uniform logs as we do today. Without modern tools like lathes, uneven logs would get stuck or slip. So, while these methods work for small demonstrations, they are impractical for industrial use. Now, what if the Egyptians didn't use these traditional methods? What if they found a simpler, more ingenious solution? I propose a theory. They may have rolled the stones themselves. By adding wooden planks to the flat sides of the stones and wrapping them with ropes, the Egyptians could create a rounder shape. This allowed the stones to roll, eliminating the issue of flat sides interfering with movement. However, the excessive wear and tear on the ropes and slippage of the wooden planks would still pose a problem. So, they likely refined this method further. Instead of tying wooden pieces randomly, they could have prepared stable wooden molds. Let's call them rolling segments. These molds would form a round shape around the stone, secured by ropes in grooves to prevent wear and tear. With this setup, fewer workers could pull the stones, making them more maneuverable. This would also allow stones to roll around bends, over obstacles, or even up slopes with minimal effort. For example, by attaching ropes to rolling segments with metal end pieces, they could pull the stones up the steep sides of the pyramid without the need for a massive ramp. A simple wooden track on the pyramid and human traction would suffice. To validate this theory, we would need to find evidence, like a rolling segment, left behind. Could such a clue already exist? It's a question worth exploring. Building the pyramids with 3 million stones, each weighing an average of 2.5 tons, remains an enormous task. But this theory offers a more credible explanation than others. Thank you so much for your interest. I truly appreciate it. I look forward to welcoming you back to my channel in the future. Take care and see you next time.
Imagine a leader whose shadow stretches across millennia, a figure so imposing that his deeds shaped not only the destiny of his people but the very course of history. This is power of image and narrative. He wielded both the sword and the mason